Assalamualaikum students, for you all. As you know, the government has announced about the pandemic that schools are again going to start their online classes. The session that going to be start with the physical classes, and right now towards just because of the government announcement, we are back to the online system. Previously, you are done with unit number 1, that is work and energy. In a few sections, there is few topics are remaining, but right now we are starting from the new unit, that is chapter number 5. And inshallah, whenever you come back, your respective teachers are going to cover that topic that will be remaining from the unit number 1. The topic that we are going to start today is where does our food comes from? Obviously, now you are grade 8, from since grade 3 till 2, we are in a state of knowledge that link with one another, in which we are well aware of the things with related to living organism and non-living organisms. Obviously, we are living organisms. We need food for the survival, for the daily life processes that's going to be carry on in our life. Like we grow, we have for growth we need food. For height increasement, we need food. For the different systems to run within the body, like respiration, like digestion, like excretion, like nervous system, all the systems that is running in a living organism need energy. And this energy will become from, you will well aware of this word, food. From food we get energy that is need for the survival of a living organism. And now come to the point, where does food come from? Just think over it, like it recalls what? Like if we are human being, we are dependent on what kind of food? Like if we see a man, it's also depend upon vegetables. Then wheat, a cereal, chicken for meat, sheep again for meat, fruits for the healthy survival, and then fish is a rich source of proteins. These are the basically, you can see that the things that is responsible for the food. And you know that food will be travel in the form of chain, like starting from plants till the level will be changing and you get the whole food chain. So the food will become from different sources that are utilized by human beings. Now you are well aware of the word food chain. Food chain will be starting from plants, and at every level you know that the energy will be lost. Plants are the major food factory for living organisms, and it will be the first level of a food chain. Plants get energy from the sun and can make their food by a process, you know that it's photosynthesis. Photo stands word for the light and synthesis, the making up process. By the using of light, the plants make their own food. This is known as photosynthesis. Almost the energy that will be coming from sun, it will be in a bulk of energy, like in the form of radiations. When plants is going to be grab this energy, almost 98% of energy will be lost in the atmosphere. At each level, whenever we are moving from plants to the other levels, at each level, energy is going to be lost in the atmosphere because different living organisms use energy, and the rest of the energy will be lost in the atmosphere. When we are moving from plants, plants are eaten by, the primary consumers. Without we are adding the herbivores and carnivores and all that, we are going to take a general look on it. Primary consumers. Then primary consumers that are herbivores are eaten by secondary consumers. And secondary consumers are carnivores because they feed on the meat. Then the secondary consumers are in turn used by tertiary consumers. Tertiary are at third level. Like if I am going to be explain this one, if we have a grass, grass is going to be eaten by caterpillar. Caterpillar is eaten by a bird, and a bird is eaten by a snake. So every organism, living organism is dependent on the other organism for its food, for its survival. And why we need food? We need food for the energy that would be carried on for different life processes. Like at each level, there is a loss of energy because the energy that we get from the sun is very, you can say that in a bulk amount, and every organism don't have a capability to absorb this kind of energy. So 95% of energy will be lost at each level. So we can say that the energy level continuously decrease when we move along a food chain. This is a chain is formed. Plants eaten by primary consumer eaten by secondary consumers are eaten by tertiary consumers. This take a form of food chain, and we can say that energy will be lost at each level. At the end, a very small amount of energy will be remain. This is you can say that a natural process in which the first level have the biggest amount of energy, then the second level have the least, and the last one will be the least. So they take a state of pyramid, which is also known as food pyramid, in which the pyramid will show that the energy will be going to be decreased continuously. Okay, the food will be come from obviously plants. Obviously, plants take sunlight from the sun, and then they take water from the roots, make their own food, and then they grow up into a tall tree and the different plants. So the things that are required by the plant for the survival of its life will be added in soil. So whenever we are going to be cultivate a land, first of all, we just see the soil texture, what kind of minerals it is. Is it good for the plant health? So it's okay. If the soil is missing some kind of important minerals, then we use different things or different ways by which the minerals will be added to the soil. So plants that are grow within the soil naturally have different minerals that is responsible for their growth. For a healthy plant growth, plant eats fresh water with the dissolved minerals in it. The energy for the photosynthesis will come from the sun in the form of light radiations. Then we have soil particles, in which different minerals and water have in the form of trapped molecules. Soil is responsible for water absorption by the roots and the minerals that are present in reservoirs. Okay, what kind of minerals? Like if we are talking about the soil has an immense amount of minerals. Minerals like the elements that present within the soil in the form of different minerals, like the rocks that will be going to be shattered when if it's moving from one area to another, then the soil is formed, and naturally they have certain types of atoms in it, and these same atoms are going to be combined when the elements are formed. So many minerals that are present within the soil have a natural appearance, but the plant needs only few ones. I'm going to mention the minerals that is responsible for the plant growth. First one is nitrogen, then we have potassium, then we have phosphorus, and the last one is magnesium. These four minerals are naturally present within the soil, and these are responsible for a healthy plant growth. The nitrogen is responsible for the growth of the plant, especially for protein synthesis. Protein part that is present within the plants are going to be synthesized by the nitrogen. On the book, page number 61. Here a list will be mentioned in which in tabular form they show you the nitrogen making new plants, especially proteins. Then potassium making flowers and fruits. Like potassium is responsible for the making of flower and fruit if a plant is deficient in potassium. So there will be no flower making, and if there will be no flower making, no fruit will be formed. Phosphorus is involved in the making roots. Like if we have phosphorus, then the plants have the most, you can say, the strong roots. The magnesium is responsible for making chlorophyll for plant photosynthesis. You know that for the photosynthesis, plants have a green structure in it, which is known as chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is basically responsible for the food making process that will be take place within the leaves. Roots are responsible for the absorption of minerals and water. Stem is responsible for the transportation of the water from lower part to the aerial part. Leaves are involved in the food making process. So potassium is involved in the fruit and flower making. Phosphorus is involved in roots growth. And manganese is responsible for the chlorophyll to carry out photosynthesis. So if plant lack these kind of minerals in it, then it will be not a healthy plant. Like if these are not available, then we have a different option. We go for the fertilizers. Fertilizers are the basically chemicals that contain these minerals. These fertilizers will be thrown within the gland on which the crop is going to be cultivated, so that before the growth of a plant, soil have adequate amount of nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and magnesium. In the previous ages, when the technology is not much fast that we can make these fertilizers, many of the farmers use natural fertilizer that would become from the waste materials of the waste products that would be get from the cows and goats. They use these kind of undigested material and they throw it into the soil for as a natural fertilizer. But it is not enough because with the passage of time, the population is going to be increased day by day. Our energy and food demand is going to be increased day by day. So we have to be adopt some kind of mechanism, just like the fertilizers are going to be made within the factory, so that we can cope up with a high yield of crops. Okay, students, the next one is here in the page number 62. They will be show different kind of symptoms that would be a plant show within the deficiency. Like if the plant have no nitrogen, the leaves are going to be yellow. If they have no potassium, they have poor fruit and flower growth. If they have no phosphorus, their roots are not going to be anchored the plant very firmly within the soil. If they have no magnesium, again the yellowing of leaf will be shown in different areas. Whenever you are going to be visit the plants at the roadside, you see many of the plants is going to be seems to be their leaf seems to be yellow. They have certain types of deficiency. Now it's your activity. If you have different plants at your home, just visit them and see them where you got the area that there will be a yellowing of leaf, or you see some kind of plant have different wilted growth. There must be different deficiencies. You can also check that if you are going to be give them a natural materials, like the eggshells are the basically very rich source of these minerals. So you can also make your fertilizer at your home. Inshallah, in the next lecture, this activity I'm going to be shared with you in the next lecture. How can you make their fertilizer at your home? And again, too much fertilizers going to be pollute our atmosphere. Like excessive use of anything is bad. And if we are going to be use the fertilizer in very high rate and very intense, these are the chemicals basically. They whenever they are going to be wash out with the rain or with the floods, they directly goes towards the rivers and then oceans, and they affect the marine life very much, because these are not healthy for the aquatic life. So this is all for today's lecture. Kindly do the reading of page number 61 and 62 from your book. Worksheet is available. By doing the reading, kindly solve your worksheets. Inshallah, in the next lecture, we are going to be start the how the basically effect of too much fertilizers and what is the competition among the plants. Thank you so much.